All right, this is my fourth try. Hi, everybody. This is Karen. Um, I've been having problems. They said that my lens was dirty, and then I accidentally touched a couple things. So, anyway, I'm outside, and it's September 19th, and it's like 2:14 in the afternoon Central Time. And I just came from the doctor. My husband and I had our annual, well, semi-annual physicals, and we're doing fine. That's good. Um, I like to do different things on here just because I just like to be silly, and sometimes I'm a little bit serious and tell things. But today I'm going to tell a story about myself that ladies don't usually talk about, and I can see my cousins in Detroit going, "Oh no, but I've got makeup on, Debbie. I have makeup on because I went to my cute doctor today and I had to look as good as I could, which isn't too good when you get this old. But I have a birthday in 2 weeks and I'm going to be 78. So I guess I'm doing okay for that age. I did do my hair, I straightened it, but I don't know. It looks like I laid down. I don't know. Anyway, so what I'm going to tell you today is something that happened to me about 5 years ago. And I'm not going to touch anything so I can get through it this time. Um, I decided to take my great granddaughters on a cruise. And one had been on a cruise when she was 10 months old. We took her with her mother and father and, with the whole family. It was fun. But I hadn't been on a cruise with them. I've been taking my grandchildren and my children, and everybody's VIP, but they hadn't been on one, and it was time. So their mama said it was fine, and I had them booked on a Carnival cruise out of Tampa. And I got a call about a week before. They said that the ship had it needed some emergency repairs, and that they were going to just sit at the port of Tampa for like 3 days, but that our cruise would still go on. We'd only have 4 days of cruise and 3 days of sitting at the port. And I thought, well, that's not going to be too fun for these kids. So I called and I canceled it, and I called Royal Caribbean, which I like a little bit better. My husband prefers the Carnival. Carnival's more party, and it's fun. I love the Carnival. Um, I'm a diamond on Carnival. Whoop doo! But I prefer I prefer Royal Caribbean. There's more to do. I realize that at my age now I don't really do that, so we're back to Carnival, but we don't make use of a lot of it. But there's more entertainment. I just really like that one better. But they're both pretty equal. They are. Um, anyway, they said that they had everything was full. This is a week ahead, but sometimes people cancel, and they said they did have one cabin left. Oh, so I called my granddaughter. It was like midnight. And I know I woke her up and probably ticked her off, but I told her, I said, I've got to change ships. Is it okay? Do you mind if I take them, on this other ship? And she said, no, that's fine. But I had to have her on a three-way call so she could tell them that it was okay. And you also, when you take children that aren't yours, you have to have um, uh, notarized paperwork saying that you're allowed to take them out of the country. So anyway, I I, I took this room, and it was actually an inside, but it was like an inside suite. It was very large for an inside, and they each had a sleeper sofa, and then we had the regular twins that make into, they say king, but I say queen. So anyway, we got in the car the next week and we took our little drive. Now Port Canaveral's about a 10-hour drive for us because we don't drive real fast. You could probably make it in 8 in the old days when I was pedal to the metal. We can go to Orleans, Port Orleans, New Orleans. We can go to Jacksonville, Florida. We can go to Charleston, but that's like 600 miles. That's really pushing it because I like to be able to drive it in one day. Um, in Mobile, of course, I haven't gone out of Mobile, but I'm about to. But Mobile is a really good port. It doesn't have the bigger ships, though, which is okay for me now, but this was like 5 years ago, and I knew these kids were 12 and 13, and they were going to want to have a bigger ship to keep them busy. So anyway, we drove there, and we got on the ship and toured it, and they really loved it. Well, then we went back to our cabin, and the people that work on the ships are just wonderful. I've never come across anybody that was rude, didn't have a wonderful personality. They just all are great, and they don't get paid a whole lot, but I think, in some positions they do. Anyway, the steward is known as the room steward. Always comes in and talks to you, kind of sees what you like, if you want to have turn down service, and if you want them to come by a couple times a day. And so they usually come in to talk to you when they see that you're in your cabin. And we had gone back to put our suitcases in there. You pick those up after you get on the ship. So while we were there, the door was like in front of me, and I was standing at the foot of the bed. The girls were standing on one side of the bed, and my husband was standing over by the door where the steward came in. And they started to talk. And as they were talking, I all of a sudden got this terrible, terrible feeling in my belly. I mean, it was uncontrollable. And I'm not one to do things in front of other people. I'm kind of shy. Even my children I've refrained from. I didn't never belch or anything, tried not to anyway. This pain got tremendous. All of a sudden, this terrible, horrible sound came out of my rear end. It was so loud, and I was so embarrassed. I mean, the girls didn't really know me much because of divorces and everything. I hadn't seen my great-grandchildren that much. So I was really embarrassed, and the younger one said, "Granny." And I said, "Oh, no, no, no." And I just didn't know what to do. It would not stop. I swear it had to go on for a minute. I don't know where it all came from. But I ended up bending over the bed and putting my head down. And I was kind of crying and laughing at the same time. It was just so tremendous. I've never heard anything like that in my life. The steward started to turn around to see what was going on. He was like in shock. And my husband, who's very shy and very stoic, said, "Don't pay attention to those people. They're just laughing about something that has nothing to do with us. Just pay attention to me." They kept on their conversation while I kept farting, and the girls kept giggling, and I kept crying and laughing. And I'm telling you, it had to go on for a whole minute at least. It was awful. And don't ask me if it was aromatic, because I don't know. I was in shock, and nobody's ever said anything about that. My husband didn't talk about it for a long, long time. To make a long story short on this one, when we got off the ship 7 days later, it was on a Sunday, and the following Wednesday I had to go for a colonoscopy. I got all prepped the night before, and was in the hospital waiting for them to, take me down for my colonoscopy, which is a good thing to have. You really need to do it. I have several people in my family, including my mother, that died from colon cancer. They came and told me that I could not have a colonoscopy that day. And I said, "Why? I've gone through everything. I want to have it. I don't want to mess around and do this again." They said, "You can't. Your heartbeats are down to 38. And I happened to know, from maybe the previous 5 or 6 months from my Fitbit, which you really need to watch your Fitbit, because it tells you that your heartbeats. And something happened in February of that year. We're talking about, this was like the end of May. And I noticed my heartbeats went from 70, 75. They went down to the 50s, and then the 40s, and then they were down in the 30s. But I read up on it, and it said that athletic people athletes have less heartbeats. Their hearts are stronger because of the exercises. And so I thought, crazy enough, I thought, gosh, I'm like athletic. I'm really in good shape. I do walk, and I do pretty good for somebody my age, but by no way or means could I possibly be an athlete. I've got the hiccups now. You get the hiccups from what I have anyway. But anyway, they told me that I had to be taken to a downtown Birmingham hospital because I was going to have a pacemaker. I said, a pacemaker? I could not. I said, this was just like a little country town hospital. They did save my life, but I kept thinking they must be screwed up in the head. And I had to go by ambulance, which I was pissed off because that costs money. And I kept saying, I want to drive, or my husband can drive me. Nope, we can't release you. You have to go in the ambulance. And it took them 3 days of testing. And finally on Friday, Friday at 7 o'clock at night, I got a new pacemaker. Well, a pacemaker. I'd never had anything wrong with my heart. We do have pacemakers in the family, and my younger brother had a heart attack at 32, so we have a history of it, but I had no idea. But so there definitely was something wrong with me. I don't know if that caused my heart to go or my heart caused that to do something, but it was really embarrassing. It had to be my most embarrassing moment of my life. And my husband would not talk about it. And I did tell my granddaughter, and the grandkids were still laughing about it. He would not talk about it. And I felt like he was embarrassed and ashamed of me. So a couple months later, I was talking to him, and I said, when that happened on the ship, I said, were you mad at me? Because you didn't say anything. And he said, hell no, I thought that was the funniest thing I ever saw. And it is funny now, but at the time it wasn't. And like I said, I know it's kind of rude to talk about, but we're all humans, and all animals have that same problem. Maybe not to that excess, but I think you can all think of a time when you were embarrassed by that, and I really was. That's enough for today's Crazy Karen Corner. Crazy Corner Karen's Crazy Corner, whatever I call this anyway. I guess that would have to be the second or the third in this little series. And I hope it brought you a little chuckle and maybe a memory. And please don't judge me too harshly. I'm just a real honest person. I love y'all. Have a really great week. And I'm going to have a good day too. Love you. Oops. Bye-bye.